do during the bye week, and do you feel any extra refreshed or anything like that?
No special revelations. It was good to get some time off and rest, recover, as we talked about going into the bye. But at the same time, ready to go now for the stretch run of 7 games, and hopefully we play well enough in those 7 games where we keep playing beyond that.
Did you do much self-scouting during the bye, and did it confirm anything you had thought or illuminate anything new?
We did talk about where we are ranked statistically in the league on some different things, as well as some analytics of what other teams' opponents are going to see when they look at us, and that was helpful to see. And we'll keep trying to improve in those areas. And it was everything from 3rd and 4 to 6, like we talked about, to trying to be better on first down in the red zone. Little situations like that where we're going to look to improve, and if we do that, hopefully it leads to better offensive performances and wins.
Kirk, when you're looking at that stuff, is it a matter of knowing what teams are going to see and then trying to create more balance, or is it just a matter of doing it better when they kind of know what's coming?
Yeah, I think we want to look at situations where we're heavy run or heavy pass, that opponents can key off of, and just try to be aware of maybe where we're giving any tips or any tells to our opponent, and then try to get them off that trail. So there's a lot of clues the defense are looking at. Coordinators on defense use personnel, they use position on the field, they're going to use formations, they're going to use motions, they're going to use all that pre-snap information to try to get a tell of what's going to happen post-snap. And we've got to make sure that a lot of our plays look the same but are different, or that plays that are the same, would look different to the opponent.
You talked about it a couple weeks ago, but maybe you could reiterate how much of a Bears fan you were growing up and some of your notable Bears memories.
Yeah, very much a Bear fan growing up. I grew up in the northwest suburbs, and so I understand well, the environment at Soldier Field. I understand that fan base, and I understand the proud history there, which, again, we talked about the NFC North and how it's 4 great organizations that have a great deal of history through many years, and the Bears are certainly one of those 4. So we've talked about several weeks now how it's a dream come true, or a great opportunity, or a moment where you pinch yourself a little bit to realize you're living a dream, and certainly playing at Soldier Field on Sunday Night Football against the Chicago Bears is one of those moments. But I could go down every week and say every week is one of those moments too. So we're looking forward to the opportunity, certainly.
Which years and ages did you live in Chicago?
I was born there. My family's from there, and then we moved when I was 13. So, so we watched them, and then obviously, once we moved, we still followed them. And I remember them going to the Super Bowl in 06, I believe it was the 06 season. They went to the Super Bowl, and yeah.
Yeah, what's your earliest great Bears memory, or did you have a certain quarterback you followed? I know you mentioned Jim Miller and all that.
Sure. Yeah, Jim Miller was a Michigan State guy. Remember the 01 season, they went 13-3. That was an exciting year to follow. And then, Mike Singletary is my youth football coach, so there were some ties there. And Walter Payton's lived in our hometown, and his kids went to my school. So, there was close proximity to those guys. My dad did some chapels for the Bears, and Les Frazier and Mike Singletary went to their youth football camp as a kid. So, there were a lot of connections to the Bears and the community, and obviously, the '85 Bears to this day are still talked about quite a bit. So that kind of lingered through the '90s as I was growing up, and a lot of those guys who played on those teams stayed around and were around the city, and certainly had a large legacy.
What was the hometown?
Barrington was my hometown out there.
One
Yeah.
more thing, you played there twice before in Soldier Field. Was that
Yeah.
kind of special going back there and playing when you did? Or?
Certainly. Anytime you get to go there, it's a special place. A lot of history there. So I love the opportunity to play at Soldier Field.
What was your reaction? You wake up September 1st, there's roster cut-down day, and you find out that Khalil Mack's joining the NFC North?
Certainly would have loved for him to stay in the AFC. He's a great player, and I want as many great players on opposing teams to be in the AFC. But, you understand that no matter what your schedule is, you're going to be good players in every division, and he's certainly one of them. So we got our hands full with him, but they've got a few other really good players on defense. I have a great deal of respect also for their defensive coordinator, Coach Fangio, and they're statistically ranked very high, and I think that goes beyond just the addition of one player.
With him, with the physicality, Coach Zimmer mentioned everybody knows he's a good rusher, but that physicality he adds and you see it with the eating the chip on the tight end and then mauling the offensive tackle. What does that do for all 10 others on defense to help their job from what you see?
Well, I'm sure, football is a game of momentum and emotion, and I think when you get a player of that caliber, it certainly helps in that regard, to get your defense going. But at the same time, they have good players all over the yard, and I think they're a group that many of those core players have been there now for several years, and so they have grown up into veterans and played together for a while, and I think that also helps. So it's a good unit, and the numbers reflect that.
Kirk, when you're facing a defense that is as good at creating turnovers as they are, how does that affect your approach, and how much is that in your mind entering this game?
Very much something we talk about and are aware of. I think it's one of the biggest statistics to point to as to why the Bears are playing at the level they are. When you create turnovers, I mean, that is a critical factor in winning football games. So something we have to be very aware of. I don't know that I drop back saying don't fumble, or don't throw a pick. You still have to play. But you're just aware that this is one of the ways they've been able to win some football games is by creating turnovers again and again and again. And at this point in the year, it's not a coincidence. It's not an anomaly. It's because they're a good defense, and that's what they do. So we have to be aware of it. Against the Jets, we were also very aware of it, and hopefully we can win the turnover margin. I think when the game's over and the dust settles, I'm sure it'll be a very telling stat.
Do you think it affects play calling or anything that you would do at the line of scrimmage audibly?
Well, I think it affects the whole approach, the scheme, the way we line up. We're not just going to try to invite them to be able to, walk right into interceptions or, create strip sacks. I mean, we're going to try to do all we can to make it tough on them and look at the ways they've created turnovers and try not to gift them anything and make them really earn it.
When you're facing a division opponent that you kind of jockey with for top of things, do you feel like that extra sense of urgency this week?
I get this question a lot throughout the year, and I'm going to answer the same way every time. If it takes an extra sense of urgency for a big game, I would say, what were we doing the other 9 games so far? I've never lined up an NFL game and walked away and felt like we were playing a JV team. I mean, every team, the fans may say, oh, their record's bad, we're going to blow them out. That's just not the NFL. Those people haven't played in this league and understand how difficult it is. So is there a sense of urgency? Sure, but hopefully there was one every week, all season long. And we understand the importance of a division game, a great opportunity on the road against a great football team. But hopefully we're bringing it every week regardless of the situation.
You're probably watching different tape to prepare for the game, but from highlights or videos or games you've seen, what have you seen from Trubisky?
Yeah, really just through watching on TV, probably a little bit of film when we've played some of the similar opponents, but very talented. He's done a great job this year. Only in his second year. I think you got to remember that there's still a lot of development that can happen there, which is a good sign for them. And he's got all the tools in terms of a strong arm and athletic and a great teammate, and everything I've heard about him is he's the right kind of guy. So he's put himself in a great position and played really well through this year, and he's a big reason why they are where they are, and our defense will have their hands full trying to contain him and stop him.
Hey, Kirk, one of the Chicago writers wanted to ask you this. What do you remember about Aaron Lynch with Notre Dame? He had a breakout game against
he did.
2011, sack, fumble, bunch of quarterback hurries. What do you kind of remember about his performance in that particular game?
He had a great game. He was dominant in that game, and I've always, since that game, had great respect for him, and I don't care if he's been on multiple teams or if people think he may have this or that limitation. I saw what he did in 2011, and I know he's a very good player in this league, so I'll be certainly aware of what he can do come Sunday and any other time I face him going forward.
Hey, Kirk, what do you rank that playing surface at Soldier Field, and does it present challenges that you don't see other places?
In the past, and again, I've played there in December the last 2 times I've played there. I also played there in a preseason game in August, and certainly when you get later in the year, all fields can be different than what they were in the beginning of the year. But by the looks of it on TV, just watching the game last week, the field looked really nice against the Lions. So I know they put down some new grass, and it looked like they did. It looked like a really good quality field. So we'll see what it is when we go on Sunday, but regardless, we'll make sure we have the right type of cleats and be ready to go.
Is it harder to trust, because so much you're throwing to a spot? Is it harder to trust when the surface is like that, throwing that spot and trusting it?
I haven't noticed that. Certainly when you go out in warm-ups, the field may feel a little foreign at the start of warm-ups, but by the time you get into the flow of the game, when I've played there, haven't thought too much about the field. You just end up playing the game, and your body learns to react to the surface, I think.
Do guys change cleats more like a place like that?
It's something to be aware of. We certainly will we'll plan ahead with that and try to make sure we have that pair of cleats ready if necessary, if the field isn't the way it looked on TV on Sunday. But based on what I saw on Sunday, it looked pretty good.
Last couple for Kirk.
Coach Dillon mentioned that he thought the team might have been a little bit tired at the end of the Lions game. The break came perhaps at the right time. Do you feel the break came at the right time for you guys? Is there a renewed, refreshed sense of the team for the stretch run?
All I know is I've had a bye after week 4, and I've had a bye after week 9, and I'd much prefer the bye after week 9. I think it helps to have something to look forward to as you're pushing through the early stretch of the season, and then to work from a place of rest going forward to the end the season. I think that helps. So I think it did come at the right time, and ultimately this season will tell whether or not it came at the right time. We've got to show that through the way we play these last 7 weeks. All right, thanks.